The Birdbath has now had its second coat of rubber compound. Interestingly, when you put it on, it is brown. I think you can probably see that around there. However, when it's exposed to the sunlight, as this is because it's outside, it doesn't take very long and it goes a very black colour. Anyway, I'm going to leave that in the sun to dry while I have some lunch, and then I probably won't put it out on the barrel until tomorrow, just in case we get some rain. And in the meantime, I'll work out what I'm going to do with the pump, which has now arrived. It's tiny, but that might play to my advantage, I think. Okay, bye for now. Good afternoon. A bit of an update here on the Birdbath. I have an old shower rose which I intend to put roughly in the middle of the Birdbath. I know that wasn't the original plan, but that is the plan now. And I have put the Crocs tool on the end of this bit of pipe to provide a suitable bump in it. Jubilee clip on there, which is exactly as I've done on the water level indicator. In fact, this is the leftover bit of tube from that. And so that's going to go somewhere in there like that. And it may be that I end up having to shorten this and to accommodate everything. But what I need is a piece of copper pipe to go over the edge and down into the drum below. Now this is not domestic copper. If I hold them together, you can tell it's a smaller size. This is refrigeration tube. This is softer, as in more easily bent, and I have suitable little flexible things. So quarter, 3/8, half, and it's half that I'm using. So refrigeration pipe is measured on the OD, whereas domestic copper is measured on the ID. So I put this around there and I bent it roughly to where I want it to go. The plan is for this to come over the side here, like so, and then I will put something on the end of this. I'm going to chop this a bit shorter. And this will then go down through the side of where I notch out the barrel, and then I can put another bit of plastic tubing between there and the pump. That's the plan. I now need to work out a couple of fittings so that I can transition from this refrigeration tube at this end to that pipe, in fact at both ends. So I have gone to my stores. See how that has a flare on it, and I have in the drawer here suitable flare tools. I'll come back to you once I've figured this out. So the flare, that's not a very good flare, to be honest. If it was for refrigeration, I wouldn't be using it. I'd be redoing it. But it's not. It's for low pressure water. So that goes on there, and then this tightens over it, like so. And the plan is for this to sit like so, and that to go on there. Voila. Now, I realise that this is way too high. This is really more proof of concept at this point. I will cut that back quite a bit to make it all fit. Alright, leave me with it. We'll get it sorted. This little, it's called an imp because it's tiny. This is a tube cutter for when you cannot swivel when you can't swivel the tool around because of another bit of pipe, then you use one of these. The other day when I was doing the stormwater outlet, I made one of those fundamental mistakes that you do occasionally, and that is that I didn't check that all the pieces were going to fit together where I wanted them to before I glued them. That wasn't good because that gave me quite a lot of grief when I actually needed to rejig it all. So as not to repeat the same mistake twice. That's why I've just done why I tried it first. Now of course the trick is that I've got to get this down far enough to be able to get the flare kit on there. Trusty little scraper, because I need to take the lip off the inside of this tube where the tube cutter has pushed it in, because if I don't, that's why that flare looked so horrible that I did before, because I didn't bother to do this step. When you're storing refrigeration tube, you always need to make sure that you put the caps on the end to keep the tubing dry. As in, here's my roll of 1/2 inch and it's still got the plastic caps on the end. Obviously not important for what I'm doing now, but very important if you're using it for refrigeration, because moisture in refrigeration piping is an enemy. The reason is because the moisture will freeze when the refrigerant expands and block the expansion tube. If not the expansion tube, well, if it has an expansion tube it would block the expansion tube, but it blocks the expansion valve and stops it working. I really need my Tillerson for this job, coming and going. That's better. So now that's just down through there. The barrel comes up to about here, so that'll take it down below there I can put something on there. I may end up just brazing a fitting on the end of there. I think might be the easiest way. So we'll see where that goes. This is what you should not do with your files. Have them all up against each other like this. But it is what it is. I'm going to take these two, which are actually wood rasps, and put the groove in the side of the barrel for that tube to go through. So we will take a suitable handle, that one will do. We'll go and do that. I think we'll try that and see. So that will more or less sit like that. That tucks down in there, and here's the electrical cable coming out here. What I am noticing is that because the barrel has dried out so much, these timbers are all moving and the top's not fitting in so well, but I'm sure I can prise that back out again and make it all fit. That's what I need to do at this stage. Pretty sure I'm going to shorten that bit of hose so that I can get this more to the centre without getting a kink in it. We'll see. Wait for the next exciting instalment. Alright, back soon. So it is confession time. I know that I have the ability to make things more complicated than they need to be, and once I start heading down a track, I can be blind to alternative ways of doing things that would be much simpler and easier. So today, hopefully I have rescued myself from one of those situations. I got to the point with this pipe work where I thought, this is more complicated than it needs to be. There has to be a better way of doing this. So I took my jersey off because I was getting a bit warm, and I found some iced coffee and a biscuit. Always good for the little grey cells. And then I thought, hang on a minute, some irrigation tubing would actually be perfectly fine for this. It's under almost no pressure, less than 1 metre of head, so that's, nothing. And I thought, I'm sure in the garden shed that I have some 1/2 inch irrigation tubing and some fittings. I think we can make this work, and it will be just neater and easier and a lot less fluffing around. So I have boiled the billy. Well, it's in the process of boiling. That is not for drinking from. This is the billy that I keep in my workshop, because this is the domestic pipe, and that, as I said before, is 1/2 inch ID, and this bit of irrigation tubing is 1/2 inch ID as well, and so it's not going to go on there very easily. So I will put it in the hot water, and I will also put this in the hot water and try and manipulate it onto the end of there. The refrigeration tubing, because it's 1/2 inch OD, it'll go on fine, so I will probably put some kind of a flare or something on the end of there, and then as you can see here I have plenty of suitable sized Jubilee clips to do the job, And I also have, if I can find where I put it down, anyway, I have a irrigation 90 degree, so that will be much better for the auto shut off doesn't work anymore, which is why it got relegated to the workshop. Okay, so we'll get on with this. The reason I'm putting the copper pipe in there, it's not such a big deal for what I'm doing here, but if this was alkathene and I was putting it onto a cold bit of pipe, the heat would go out of the alkathene very quickly and then it wouldn't go on. This still might, which that's warm, it still might not go on, but we'll give it a go. It's quite warm. And because the copper is hot, it's actually keeping the plastic a bit warm, and so that has gone on quite easily, really. Excellent. So the other end I will do, and then I'll show you the finished product. And here we have it. So, small piece of irrigation tube, irrigation elbow fitting onto that. You saw the other bit I've already done, and I have this strategically higher than this because the little pump that's in there is not going to push water through water, so to speak. So we will fire it up and see what happens. I'm not expecting a fountain, I'm expecting it just to kind of just come out. We'll see. Here we go. That's about what I want. So looks like that's leaking slightly. I might need to put a couple more Jubilee clips on there just to hold that, or even the irrigation, plastic irrigation clips. And that's looking like it's going to work. So I won't run it for long because I don't want to fill this right up at this point. Please excuse the wind noise. The wind has come up again. It was very windy this morning and then it went away and now it's come back again. So what I have done rather badly is bored a hole through here. I made the mistake of using a coarse tungsten tipped hole saw in my DeWalt drill, and due in part to the coarseness of the hole saw and the power of the drill, I don't only just about tore my wrist off, I made a terrible mess of this hole. So anyway, what I'm going to do is put the cable through there, but obviously I need a grommet to go around it. I happen to have here what was the plunger off the bottom of an AeroPress coffee press, which needed to be replaced because it had gone a bit hard and not working properly. But I thought I'll keep that, it'll come in handy for something one day, and here you go. So what I'm planning to do is to put this on here like so. Then I'm going to go around the outside of this with this tape. Now this is not standard electrical insulation tape. This is what's called self-amalgamating tape. So what happens is you stretch it around and wind it around, and I'm going to wind it around several times because of the mess I've made with the hole, and then that will basically amalgam itself into a solid round. It is used in an electrical context, but it's also used in other contexts as well. So I will do that and then show you the results. Now, as you can see, this tape has a plastic layer in between each layer of tape, and that's because otherwise it would amalgamate itself all together when it's still on the roll. So you have to peel that off as you go. Hopefully that's enough. Not that pretty, to be honest, but it's going to hide down in here anyway. We got there in the end. As I said, it's not that pretty, and I may end up doing something different ultimately, but I need the electrical wire to go down before it goes up, so that when it rains the water doesn't go inside. Not that I think it'll get through there anyway, but it's just good practice to have it going down before it goes up. I might even put a little clip on that just there, just to hold it. I will now go and hook up the timer inside and set it going for a little bit. You may remember in a previous video about the bird bath that I talked about this hole saw and the fact that it had these dogs inside here that actually drive the saw. This is a different setup which is not as good. The hole in the middle is supposed to be that shape. What happens is this auger, if you like, the bit that does the driving, goes in there, and then this nut because it's recessed, it then tightens down on top of it. Unfortunately, what happens is when you're using them, that this loosens, and so then this starts to flog about, which is why that hole is not like the other hole, it's not like this one. Now, when I was boring the hole in the shed, I would have been much better to use this one, in part because it has finer teeth. These big nuggety ones were just a bit much for that soft timber, hence why it grabbed and tried to wrench the drill out of my hand. And so, as I said before, these are a much better setup and they don't have the issues that this setup does. Now that I have all of this part in place, I can finish off this downpipe, and so I have just cut the piece to go in that gap, and with it having been in the sun for a while, it is no longer round, so I'm going to go and attack it with the heat gun, see if I can get it back round again. Otherwise it is not going to seal very well. Oh, there's a praying mantis. I don't even know what they're called. Chrysalis, maybe? Anyway, I shall go and attend to the downpipe first. It isn't perfect, but it's a lot better than it was. So now I will apply some glue to it and put the elbow on it. Good morning. So, having tried the little fountain thing the way I had it, I decided that actually I would like that water a little higher, and it has more of the effect that I was looking for, as in it's not really a fountain, it's just a little bubble up, if you like. So I'm pleased with that, and I will actually paint the upstand both internally and externally with some of the rubber emulsion stuff. That will just mean it'll all blend in and won't stick out like a sore thumb. The other day I did complete, as you would have seen in the video, well, you didn't see it complete, but you saw me doing it, this downpipe. Now that white clip is going to disappear. I have ordered I think 4 of those clips altogether in the iron sand colour, along with a couple more of the elbows, so that I can complete the other side, which, as you can see, is not done at this point. That's it for this video, and thanks for watching, and I'll catch up with you another day soon. I have started on the fence, so that will be the next video. Bye.